please state your full name for the record and spell your last name?
Elisabeth Ann Broderick. Broderick.
Maybe pull that microphone down a little towards you there. So yeah, okay.
Ms. Broderick, when were you born?
November 7th, 1947,
Okay. And where were you born?
in New York City.
And what area were you raised in? Your younger area?
In the suburbs in Westchester County, New York.
Okay. And at your birth, what was your name?
Elisabeth Ann Bisceglia.
And
Bisceglia.
And how was Elisabeth spelled on your birth certificate?
Elizabeth.
And have you been known by any other names as you grew up and got older?
Yes, my family called me Bootsy when I was little, and then Betty Ann later. And then when I met Dan, he started calling me Bets.
And have you had any other nicknames?
People thought my name was Betsy because he called me Bets. And when I took French in high school, I changed the Z to an S on Elisabeth because I thought that was cool.
Okay. And did you also be known by Betty to people?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And could you tell me a little bit about your education?
I was one of 6 children, and we all went to Catholic schools all the way through. I went to Immaculate Conception first, and then Maria Regina High School, and then the College of Mount St. Vincent. And the high school and college were all girls' establishments at that time.
Okay. And now you went to Catholic girls' schools. Was that also in the lower grades, or was it when you got in the upper grades?
High school and college.
Okay. And they were all, I take it, on the East Coast in the New York area?
Correct.
Okay. And where were you in relationship to your brothers and sisters? What
I'm
age?
third of the 6.
Overall, just foundational. Go ahead.
Okay. When you were going to school, were you involved in any sports or hobbies?
Yes, we had very full childhoods. We did every sport imaginable. We did horseback riding and rowing and snow skiing and water skiing and tennis and badminton and croquet and horseshoes and everything. Golf, everything.
Did you take at any point in time, or one of the things that you did that involved shooting?
Yes, and I think it was 8th grade, a summer program at the Catholic Youth Organization. That was one of the activities that we did with Father McHale at our parish.
Okay. And what did you shoot at that time?
22 rifles,
Was
single-shot, bolt-action rifles.
Was that with your whole family? I mean, was that with the whole class, individual lessons?
It was a group of teenagers, young teenagers. My brother was in it.
Did you work during the time that you were in high school and college?
Yes.
And what kind of jobs did you do?
I had 3 basic categories of jobs. I had fashion jobs, I had children jobs, and I had hostessing jobs.
Did you do, was there any retail work that you did with the fashion jobs?
Yes.
Excuse me, this is talking about in high school. I object to really.
Sustained. We're on to something else.
Did you, at some point, meet somebody by the name of Dan Broderick?
Yes, when I just started college.
Okay. And how did you come to meet Dan Broderick?
I went out to Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana for a football weekend.
And was that something that was planned, that you were going to meet him? Accident?
No, I didn't know I was going to meet him. He was sitting across from me at the table at a party, and he asked to borrow a pen, and I had a pen, so I lent him my pen.
Okay, and what happened?
He wrote on the tablecloth, I found out was his name, and it said Daniel Thomas Broderick III, M.D.A., and the A was in parentheses. And so I asked him, I said, what's that? What is that? And he said, oh, I just got into medical school, so it's Daniel Thomas Broderick III, M.D., almost.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
And how did you find him to be at that time?
A nice person.
Yeah.
It was a very, very loud, very rowdy party. It was the senior class of Notre Dame, and Jerry Lee Lewis himself was right to the right, and it was really noisy, and really crowded, and it was hard to have any kind of a conversation at all.
Okay, now did you make arrangements from that time to meet Mr. Broderick sometime in the future?
Not the night I met him. The rest of the weekend, that was Friday night of the weekend.
Objection, Your Honor, the answer is yes.
Sustained. Just ask another question.
And I object to relevance.
Overruled. That's ruled. Let's go ahead.
Did, at some point in time, did you communicate either in writing or over the phone with Mr. Broderick after that?
Yes, he wrote to me a lot of times.
Okay. And how would you describe, did you write back to him?
The first thing I heard from him was
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. Did you write back to him at all?
they were telegrams in the beginning, so I didn't write back. It was just telegrams, a bunch of telegrams. But then when he wrote letters, yes, I wrote back.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you have an arrangement to meet anywhere?
As a joke, the weekend that I met him, as a joke, we said that when he came to New York the following September, which would have been September 1966, that I would show him around New York, because I'm from New York. And so there's a clock in the Biltmore Hotel, which is part of Grand Central Station, where it's a famous meeting place. So I said I'd meet him at the clock
Okay.
on a certain day at a certain time, and that was the weekend that I met him.
Was he supposed to be in, was there a reason he was going to be in New York?
To attend,
Excuse me, I object on relevance grounds.
No.
1966.
Overruled. Excuse me, sustained as to the reason he was going to be in New York, Mr. Early. Go ahead.
Did you meet him?
no, I was scared, I didn't go.
Okay. When he, did he establish some kind of residency at New York at that time?
Yes, he moved to New York in September 66 to attend a 4-year medical school program at Cornell.
Okay. And did you start having more contact with him at that time?
Yes, after I didn't show up at the clock, he called, and I agreed to come down and go out with him once.
And he was going to medical school at that time?
Yes, just begun.
Okay. Now, during the time that and did you two start dating regularly at that time?
Yes.
Okay. During the time, was there any discussions of marriage during the time that you were dating?
Yes, a lot.
And what were those discussions?
I didn't find this out until years later, but supposedly the...
Objection, Your Honor. The question is, what were the discussions at the time? Non-responsive.
Sustained.
What were the discussions that you had with Mr. Broderick about being married, about getting married?
As soon as I started going out with him, he wanted to get married.
Okay. And was that something that both of you talked about?
Yes, we talked about it a lot.
And what did you tell him?
I told him that, I wasn't even thinking about marriage. I had to get my college degree, and at that point, I was only starting my second year of college. And he said that I could do both, that I could marry him and finish my college degree, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it one at a time, because I thought each thing was rather a full-time job.
Okay. And during the time that the two of you were dating, were you working?
Yes, I always worked.
Okay. And was Mr. Broderick working at that time?
No, he was mostly going to school and studying.
Okay. And were you in any way supporting that relationship monetarily with Mr. Broderick?
I had a lot of spending money because I had a lot of jobs and stuff, so I had social spending money. Dan only had tuition money and, his school money. So yeah, I had a lot. Yes, I had a car and I had disposable income, and it was my turf. He'd never been to New York before, so I knew everyone and where to go and what to do, and yeah, I used my money.
Okay. Eventually, did you and Mr. Broderick get married?
Yes, April 69.
Okay. And what was what's the date, April what?
April 12th, 1969.
And had you finished college at that time?
Yes, I graduated 6 months earlier than my regular class. I was supposed to get out in June of 69, but I got out in December of 68, excuse me.
Okay. Now, during the time that you were dating Mr. Broderick, did it become clear as to how decisions were going to be made in your relationship?
Yes, very, very early on in our relationship, I told you it was my car, and I had a lot of friends and a lot of things to do. We were driving from the east side to the west side of New York on our way up to Mount St. Vincent to meet a bunch of my friends, and he pulled the car over and turned off the key and said, "Let's just get this straight. You don't tell me what we're going to do, ever." And I said, "Oh, sorry. I mean, sorry. What do you want to do? You know, it's no big deal that we do this. What do you want to do?" And he said, "No, I don't have anything to do. Just don't tell me what to do."
Okay. And after you got married, did you go on a honeymoon anywhere?
Yes, we spent, I think it was a week at a private home in St. Thomas.
Okay. Now, after during the honeymoon and after you were then married, was there a change in the relationship between you and Mr. Broderick?
Yes, very much so.
And what was that change?
Well, a dating relationship is entirely different from a marriage. And during the dating relationship, I had my own job and my own money and my own car, and I lived with my parents, and I had some freedom and stuff. And after the wedding, he was in charge of everything, and I moved in with him, and he took charge of the bank books and the paychecks and everything, and I more or less had to do what he said.
Okay. Was that something, did you, at that point, did you cease paying the bills and doing anything with the money that you brought in?
I never paid any bills with my money.
Okay. The now, you indicated you didn't pay any of the bills. From that point on, would you know where the money was or what the finances of the family were?
What I meant about not paying the bills is I always lived with my
Objection, Your Honor.
parents.
Excuse me, not responsive.
Suspend.
Did you have any idea of the finances of the family or what the money was going to be, how the money was going to be spent?
No.
Did you come to learn that there was a name for women in the Broderick family?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained at this point.
In one of the tapes that the district attorney played for you, there was a comment about too low to kick and too wet to step on. What did that mean?
That meant when I was brought into the Broderick family, Larry Broderick said to me, "Oh, now you're a yuck." And I said, "What's a yuck?" And he said, "It's too low to kick and too wet to step on." And that's what they called their sisters, were the yucks.
Now, at the time that you were married, what year was Dan in medical school?
Midway in his third year.
Okay. And at that time, were you still working?
Yes, I had a very good teaching job in Westchester County in New York.
Okay. And were you doing any other jobs at that time?
I don't remember if I had overlapping jobs all the time. I would have kept Bonwit Teller for a while, but then in the summer when the teaching job was over, I worked in a nursing uniforms place down in New York, right at the hospital. But by that summer I was pregnant anyway. And then I went back to teaching in September.
Okay.
You want me to keep going?
Where were you living during that third year in medical school?
When we first got married, I moved into a dormitory room with Dan, which was a little teeny tiny room that adjoined another room by a teeny tiny bathroom. And it wasn't designed for two people to live in it.
Yeah. When you and Dan were courting and married, was he someone you loved?
Yes, we had a lot of fun. It was very nice.
Was there any other income at the time in that third going into the fourth year of law school to live on other than your income?
Dan's room was paid for as part of his schooling, so we didn't have rent. What's your question? Sorry.
Were there other sources of income during that period of time when he was going to medical school other than for living expenses other than your work?
Dan had a few little jobs. He was a New York cab driver for a little while. He worked in a blood lab at nights for some little period of time. But other than that, I can't remember him working, so no. There was no other source of income.
Now, sometime shortly after your honeymoon, did you find anything about your physical condition?
Yes, I got sick right away. After we were married, I got sick.
Okay. And did you know what it was?
I thought it was the flu or something. I was just throwing up and throwing up and throwing up, and I just felt terrible. I was just sick. But I kept going to work, and I figured I'd get over it.
Okay. Did you eventually find out what was causing your condition?
Yes, I was pregnant.
Okay. And did you continue to work through that pregnancy?
Yes. In those days, back in the dark ages, in the
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. And why did you continue to work through the pregnancy?
we needed the money.
And how far did you work? Did you work the 6 months of the pregnancy?
I worked every single day until literally the day she was born. January 24th, 1970 was a Friday. And I taught school that day, and I went home and had Kim. And I did the report cards in the hospital that weekend, and then did not go back to work on Monday.
Now, during that period of time, what did you expect of a husband in marriage?
I expected him to be nice and be supportive and be the father of my children, and that we'd live happily ever after.
Was that the first child that was born?
Yes.
And what was her name?
Kim.
And when was she born?
January 24th, 1970.
Okay.
9 months after we were married.
Now, you left your teaching job after she was born?
Yes.
And did you, was there still a need to bring money into the family?
Definitely.
And what did you do?
I didn't want to leave Kim, a brand newborn, with anyone. I didn't have anyone to leave her with in New York City. That's why I didn't go back to my job. So I found a job that I could take her with me. I brought her to we lived in a medical complex of several buildings of doctors, and I brought her to the next building over. The woman was in law school full-time, and the man was a research fellow. And they had an 8-month-old daughter, and I minded her as a full-time job every day of the week. And I brought Kim with me. And then I also did other babysitting at night, because Dan wasn't home anyway, he was studying.
Okay. So in the evening, people would come in, you would babysit other people's children?
Sometimes nurses would bring the kids to me, and sometimes I'd take Kim and go to a doctor's house.
Okay. Now, during that time, were you doing any other kind of part-time work?
Oh, for a while I tried doing Avon and Tupperware in New York City to make money.
Okay.
There were nurses and students and things.
Okay. And now you were into, and was that Avon where you have parties where people come to your house, or back then was it different?
Well, we didn't have, none of us lived in a place big enough to have a party. I lived in these dormitories where were all little tiny rooms, so it was more door-to-door stuff.
Okay. And this was in Dan's last year of medical school?
Correct.
Okay. Were there any decisions made about the future of the family or what was going to happen after he finished medical school?
Yes, in the 4th year of medical school, you take a series of electives where you decide what area of medicine, from psychiatry to dermatology, what surgery, and you pick electives so that you can choose what area of medicine you might like to go into. One of Dan's electives that he chose was to get on a suit and tie and go downtown to a New York law firm every day and research becoming involved in the medical malpractice field as a lawyer doctor. That was one of the things he researched in 4th year, and he did decide to do that.
Okay, and decided to do what? Go on to law school?
To become involved in the emerging, it was just starting, medical malpractice field as an attorney that would have a great knowledge of medicine as well by being a doctor and a lawyer.
Now, was that a decision that you were willing to live with, him going to law school rather than going out and practice as a doctor?
Yes, that was fine with me, whatever you wanted to do,
And why was that?
because that's a wife's job, whatever the husband wants to do. It was my job to support him emotionally and, psychologically, and great, let's do it. So we did it.
And was there, did you discuss or did you come to understand how his legal education would be financed?
That was a problem because we didn't have any income except mine, which was pathetic. And so we needed to finance the next 3 years totally on loans.
And was there any discussion about night school or some other way of getting through law school?
Yes, he wanted to be a doctor and a lawyer, and the options open were to do law school part-time days, part-time nights, or full-time days. And if he had done one of the part-time things, he could have worked as well, which is how a lot of people get through law school. But he chose to go full-time at Harvard.
Okay. Was that something that you were in disagreement about?
No. Harvard didn't have a part-time program, but it was very, very expensive.
Now, the summer between medical school and law school, did you work?
We moved to Pittsburgh. We moved entirely out of New York and went to stay with his family in Pittsburgh. He worked as an intern at a local Pittsburgh hospital, and I stayed with his family rent-free with Kim, and then I just did the Tupperware Avon thing as much as I could in the afternoons, but it didn't make much.
And the next fall, did Dan go to law school?
Yes, we moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts in September of '70, and I again took...
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you move, where did you move in Boston?
We couldn't afford student housing. We didn't have any money to get into student housing, and we couldn't afford to live in Cambridge around the school. But we had no form of transportation. We had no car at this time, so we couldn't move far away either. So we moved to a community called Somerville, Massachusetts.
Okay, and what kind of neighborhood was that?
At that time, it was a very, very older, rundown neighborhood. Very inexpensive, which is what we needed. And Dan had a motorcycle to get to school.
Yeah. Did you, and what kind of apartment did you live in?
It was a basement apartment in a very old building. You went downstairs and the windows looked out on a dug-in hole of cement or something, and all the trash and newspapers and liquor bottles and stuff would be in our windows when we woke up in the morning. The window well.
Okay. And during the time that you were in that neighborhood, was there times where you would have problems with heat and water?
Yes, the whole building was very, very old, and it was a Boston winter, and there were times when we were freezing. We had no heat at all. I had to sleep with Kim because I thought she was going to die. She was so cold.
Okay. Were you working during that time?
Yes, a woman law student at Harvard. I minded her child full-time every day, all day, every day.
Okay. And did you work at night at all?
I worked at Lord & Taylor in downtown Boston at night.
And did you, at some point in time while you were going there, did you have to get aid to supplement your income? Any kind of food or?
Yes, we got surplus food because we were below poverty level. We had no income to speak of at all.
Now, during this time, did you get pregnant again?
Yes, I was sick quite soon after moving there. I got sick with a pregnancy with Lee, and I'm sick the whole 9 months.
Now, during this time, was Dan working hard that first year?
Absolutely. First year is the hardest year of law school, and he worked very, very hard, and he studied very, very hard.
Okay. And so when you're talking about working hard, you're talking about working hard at school and coming home and studying?
Correct.
Okay. Were you resentful of that fact that he wasn't practicing medicine and making money and was going to law school?
Not at all.
And why is that?
Because this was the plan that we agreed upon, that he would do the law school, and if you're going to do it, you have to do it well and do it right. And he needed to do that.
Now, during the time that you were, going through this first year of law school, how was Dan dressing?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll sustain.
Well, were you resentful about what Dan would spend free money on during that time, or how he would spend it?
Neither one of us were spending much money on anything. We didn't have any money.
Was a second child born at that time?
July of '71 is Lee's birthday.
Okay, so that was the summer after the first year of law school?
Yes.
Okay. And did you work through Lee's pregnancy?
In the home, as I had described earlier,
Okay.
at Lord and Taylor, and that's all I did that first year.
Okay. And did you have problems with the pregnancies and the births of both children?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
I'd like to make an offer of proof, Your Honor.
No, go on to something else and make an offer proof for the recess.
During the second year of law school, did you work?
Right, yes. I took children in, different children whose mothers were nurses and teachers and things, in that we had moved. Dan's grandmother gave us a car summer between first and second year, so now we were able to move to an apartment that was above ground, and I had children in the apartment.
Okay. Now, between the second and third years of law school, did you go anywhere, did the family go anywhere in relationship to a job?
Yes, between second and third year of law school, it's customary that every student get a clerkship with a law firm, and that's what we did, and it was in Los Angeles.
And was it any particular type of law firm or any particular reason for going to Los Angeles?
We went to Los Angeles because both of us were interested in exploring the West Coast and seeing if we'd be interested in living there. Both of our long-term friends, the Woodses, helped us get a job with Overton, Lyman and Prince was the name of the firm. And I believe they were doing malpractice at the time. And so Dan wanted to see Los Angeles and explore the possibilities of working in a malpractice firm.
Did the whole family go to Los Angeles that summer?
Yes, we had 2 children. On the way out, we drove a Volkswagen from Boston to Los Angeles.
Okay, and while you were in Los Angeles that summer, were any plans made in regards to your future?
Yes, we didn't like Los Angeles at all. It was really crowded, and the commute for Dan was really, he just didn't like it. And I met a lady in a playground with the children, and she said, boy, if she could live anywhere at all, it'd be San Diego. And I said, where is it? And she said, well, you get on 5 and go south. So one Saturday, we got in the Volkswagen with the kids, and we went south on 5. We didn't know where we were going, but we ended up on kind of vacation village area of Mission Bay. And it was beautiful, sunshiny, and it was clean, and nobody was there, and it was just gorgeous. And we could look across at the city, and we saw a few tall buildings, and Dan said, there's got to be a law firm here. So we went back to LA and looked it up in a guide to law firms, and he wrote to the law firms in San Diego asking if he could look for a job with them.
Yeah.
And that summer, they wrote back. And so that summer, we came down and interviewed San Diego law firms before we went back east.
Yeah. And was there any decisions made at that time as to what you were going to do after he graduated from Harvard?
Yes, the law firm of Gray, Carey, Ames, and Fry were extremely nice to us. They went out of their way to woo us. They wanted Dan very badly, and they impressed us a lot, and they offered us the moon, and so he took the job with them. But it wouldn't be until the next year that we'd come back for it.
And so you went back to the third year of law school?
Yes, we drove across country again, but by that time I'm pregnant and sick with the third child.
So you were pregnant again in the third year of law school?
Yes.
And did you work during that third year?
As much as I could, same as usual. I brought kids in, but that pregnancy I not only got sick the whole time, I was hemorrhaging through the whole pregnancy. I had what you call placenta previa.
Okay. And was that baby born alive?
The baby was born alive but died shortly after.
Now, after that happened, did you do anything after that baby died?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained, just rephrase it.
Was there anything that you tried to do to yourself after that baby died?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Overruled, go ahead and answer that.
Yes.
And what was that?
I tried to kill myself.
And was there a reason for that?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do after Dan graduated from law school?
We drove directly out here.
And did you moved to San Diego?
Yes.
And where in San Diego did you live?
We found an apartment in Serra Mesa near the stadium in the Plum Tree apartment complex. It was brand new at that time.
Okay.
And I was within walking distance of a Catholic school, and I got a job there teaching school.
Okay. And did you, and what kind of job was it at a Catholic school? Were you a certified teacher in California?
Not in California, no. I don't have a California credential.
So this was a private school?
A little Catholic grammar school, yes.
Okay. And was Dan working when you moved here?
Yes, we moved here to start the job at Gray Carey, so that job was confirmed and assured before we even arrived, yes, as soon
Okay.
as we came here.
And do you remember approximately how much Dan was making when you started working?
I really have no idea, but I think 17,000. I have no idea.
Did you, other than than teaching in the school, in the Catholic, private Catholic school, did you have any other jobs when you first moved to San Diego?
Yes, the 5th grade teaching was in the afternoons, and so I thought I could do everything with the children in the house in the morning, and then when they were only 2 and 3 at the
Objection,
time.
Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Did you have problems with the job that you did have?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Well, did you leave that job?
Yes, I did.
And was there a reason for that?
Objection,
Yes.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did you find other employment?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of jobs were those?
I started working nights because I could get a lot more hours in, and I wouldn't have the anxiety and the problem with leaving the children with someone. I never liked to leave the kids and go out. So I worked at a Black Angus restaurant as a hostess from 4:35 in the evening until like 2 in the morning. I closed the place.
Are we going to take a recess this morning, Your Honor, or
It's a good time now.
if we are going to take a recess, it would be a good time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our morning recess at this time. Please remember the admonition. Is 10 minutes long enough, Mr. Early, or you want longer?
However long,
10 minutes long enough, folks? We have recess until about 12 after 11. California versus Elisabeth Broderick. Court finds all members of the jury panel are present, all counsel are present. Ms. Broderick is on the witness stand. You may proceed, Mr. Early.
yes, now during the, what was your, up to that point, what was your social life like?
Objection, Your Honor, vague as to what point we're referring to.
No. Sustained. Just rephrase it, Mr. Early.
Okay. We've now gone through your marriage and you've moved to San Diego. What had been your social life up to that point?
In medical school, we lived in a dormitory where it was other married or unmarried students, so we were very, very social, and I didn't have the children then. And then in Boston, we didn't have any money, and we didn't live near where any other students lived, so I was particularly totally isolated. And we didn't do anything socially. We had no money.
Okay. And when you first moved to San Diego, were you spending lots of money on social lives?
No, it wasn't lots of money, but the Gray, Carey, Ames and Fry firm is extremely social. We were became instantly very social only within that firm.
And during that period of time, were you spending lots? How was you and Dan dressing at that time?
Dan always dressed beautifully, always. Even before I came into the picture, he was meticulous about his clothing. In medical school, he wore...
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Your Honor, while we're at this point, I'd like to make an offer of proof.
Well, we've passed this point. We're to where they've moved to San Diego and he has a job with Gray Carey. Now we're going back to talking about medical school again?
Yeah, I'm asking about their clothing and how they spent money.
At the time they're here in San Diego, fine, she can answer that.
Okay. Time that you were in San Diego, were you spending, how were you dressing at that time? You were spending lots of money on clothes?
I don't... Myself, just me?
Yes.
No.
The, now during this, after you moved to San Diego and you were in the apartment, did anything happen to move out of the apartment?
There was a shootout at the apartment. Someone robbed a Bank of America, and they ran into the apartments, and they were shooting all over the place, and we moved out after that.
Okay. And did you move into a duplex?
We moved into a rented home in Claremont, yes.
And eventually, did something happen to that?
That house burnt down.
Okay. And did you do anything with the, at that time, as far as, where did you move after that house burned down?
When that house burnt down, the insurance put us in a temporary...
Objection, Your Honor, not responsible.
Sustained.
So, when you moved out, were you able to, did anything happen with insurance at that point in time, or did you get any money from that?
Yes, when the house burned down, it was not our home, it was a rental home, so we got insurance for the contents. All of our possessions burnt except for the bedrooms, so we still had our clothes, but as far as furniture and kitchen and stereos and records and books and the furniture, the little bit of furniture that we had bought on time anyway from, I think, the Broadway or something, so we got reimbursed by insurance for our possessions that burnt in that fire.
And what did you do at the, what did you do with that money?
We were forced out of the rental after the fire repairs.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm sorry, non-responsive. Question is, what did you do with the money?
Sustained.
First of all, what did you do with the money?
We used it as a partial down payment on a house
Okay, and where was that house?
in La Jolla.
Okay. Now, after and what was the address of that house?
5555 Coral Reef Avenue.
Now, I have just one moment here.
Sure.
Sorry, Your Honor, we moved all this yesterday.
It's all right. Take time.
I'll move on for right now, Your Honor, and I'll come back. It'd be easier.
All right.
And you used the insurance money to buy that house?
It was only enough for a partial down payment. We had to get 2 mortgages. One mortgage was the rest of the down payment, and then the other mortgage was a regular mortgage.
Do you remember what you paid for that house? Approximately?
$80,000 or $90,000.
Okay. And did at that time, did you pay off the loan for the furniture?
No, we bought that furniture on an installment credit card at a department store, and for the next 3 years, we were paying for the furniture on a monthly basis that had burnt 3 years ago, because we had used all the replacement fire money to buy the house.
Now, and what was the home on Coral Reef furnished with at that time?
We had bedroom furniture because our bedrooms didn't burn, so we had beds. But insofar as furniture, we didn't have anything. And there was a built-in kitchen with bar stools, so that's what we had to sit on to eat. And then we really didn't have anything downstairs at all.
Okay. Did there come some point in time where you got something in the house to sit on, at least when family or friends came over?
Yes, Larry Broderick had more money than we did, and when he came to town, he bought us table and chair, aluminum patio furniture, and 2 lounge chairs and a little table between them. And we'd sit outside on that stuff in the daytime, and then at night we'd carry it in and we'd sit in the house on it.
Now, what year was, you had your first son is Danny?
Daniel Thomas Broderick IV.
And
Yes.
what year was he born in?
76, February 23rd, 76.
Now, at some point in time, was there some problems developed between you and your husband in regards to the amount of time he was spending at work or away from home?
Yes, all through school, I was very careful to give Dan a lot of space so that he could study, and it was my job to keep the house clean and the kids quiet and away from him so that he could study.
Non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. What did you explain to those problems?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained. The question had to do, Mr. Early, with whether or not she became upset with him spending too much time at work. In 76, do you want to re-ask that question?
If I may back up a minute. First of all, and if you can answer this yes or no, and then I'll ask something.
All right.
were there problems that were developing between you and Daniel Broderick at that time?
Yes.
Thank you. What were those problems?
His non-involvement with myself and the children, his absence.
And was there discussions about the source of those problems? First start, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And what were those discussions about?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overall, didn't answer that.
When we were in school, his absence was tied to school and studying. And when we came to San Diego, his absence was tied to the firm that he was in and getting ahead in that firm. There seemed to be a lot of mandatory appearances at luncheons and social things and athletic things that seemed to be mandatory if you wanted to make it in that firm. And Dan definitely wanted to make it.
And when you first moved to the Coral Reef home, were you working then?
Yes, I had the Black Angus job still.
And was that still a night job?
Yes. And at one point there, before Danny was born, I had to get disability because of my varicose vein problem. You weren't allowed to sit down on the job. You were not allowed. Yeah, I had to stand up front. There was no way you could sit down. And I had horrible...
Objection, Your Honor, non-response.
Sustained.
Were you working at other jobs during these 2 or 3 year periods, that you would guess?
Yes, I always had several jobs. And then when Danny was about 18 months old, I started my biggest production of having children come to my home, where I would mind my own children and other people's children. We had a large backyard at the time for that purpose.
And was there a reason that you discussed with Mr. Broderick the fact that he was away from the home a lot? I mean, how you felt about that? Any discussions at all?
Oh, it was constant discussions. I felt that he was really neglecting myself and the children. I felt I spoiled him in the early years by not expecting him to do anything with us because of the schooling. And then after he got a regular job, I kind of expected him to get involved and be home on weekends and be home at night and to have a little more time for us. And he didn't have very much time for us.
Now, during the time that, did you talk about counseling, marriage, or anything else, any other kind of counseling during that time?
We participated in a marriage encounter through the Catholic Church, which is a weekend you go away and discuss the future of your marriage. And
did you have any discussions about what you might do or if things didn't work out?
yes, I felt pretty isolated out in California. I really liked it, but Dan was never home, and I didn't have any relatives here at all, and neither did he. And I was raised in a very big, very close family. My mother's own...
Objection, Your Honor, non-response.
Sustained.
Was there a reason you wanted to go to marriage counseling?
There was an opportunity that was presented to us, and yeah, I thought it was a great idea.
Okay, and what were the reasons? I mean, what...
To talk about our marriage and where we felt we were going and how we were doing, and I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. Someone in the church took care of our children for the weekend, so to let us go to that.
Okay. And was there any discussions about leaving Gray Carey at that time?
We had discussions about moving back east because I was lonesome.
Objection, really non-responsive.
Well,
That's
overall,
leaving
that's
right
stand.
there.
Go ahead.
I should go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was discussing moving back east because I really missed family. And we could have gone to either Pittsburgh or New York, and we looked at property in Pittsburgh, so I'm not making any of this up. And Dan said that we couldn't leave because he had 5 years in town. Actually, it wasn't 5 at that point, it was almost 5, but he said, no, we can't leave, we can't go anywhere else. We got to stay here and give me more time and I'll straighten everything out.
Okay. Did you discuss any plans for Dan leaving Gray Carey at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And what were those discussions?
I wanted him to leave Grey Carey because of all the drinking and all the craziness that was going on. I hated it. And he wanted to leave Grey Carey because he had his medical background, and he was supposed to be doing medical malpractice. Grey Carey had no medical malpractice clients or cases at all, and they would not allow him to start a personal injury business within the firm. So he was not doing professionally what he wanted to do either. So he wanted to leave for professional reasons, and I wanted him to leave for family reasons.
Okay. Now, you've heard testimony about the only marrying Dan because he's a money-making machine and never loving him. You've heard that, haven't you?
In here, yeah.
Okay. Is that true?
I've never heard it before. I married Dan for a million other reasons. He was not a money-making machine when I married him.
Okay. Now, during the time that did you actually at some point in time attend a marriage encounter?
Yes, we did. It was a weekend, November '76.
And during the time that you were at the marriage encounter, did you talk about what you wanted out of a marriage?
Definitely, that's what it was for.
Okay. And what did you tell him you wanted out of a marriage?
I wanted him to spend more time with us. That's all I wanted.
Okay. Did you ever tell him what kind of physical things that you wanted?
I wanted a sofa for the family room because we had this black leather chair that he would sit in all the time, and I just didn't feel we ever got really close to one another. So yeah, I wanted a sofa for the family room. That was my big desire in 1976.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity at that point in time to write in your marriage encounter about the things that you desired in life and how you felt about Dan and why you married him?
Exactly, that's the purpose of the weekend. They help you along, they give you guidelines, they give you questions. You each have a notebook, and you answer those questions, and then you change notebooks so he knows what you said about the answer and you know what he said about the answer, and that way they help you to express yourself better. But if you just stayed home, you probably wouldn't communicate on that level. So yes, we have the books.
And did Dan talk to you about what he wanted out of the
Yes,
marriage?
yes.
Or what he wanted for you? What did he tell you he wanted?
He apologized for not spending time with us and said what he needed in life were to reach these financial goals that he had set for himself way, way back. And only when he reached those financial goals would he then have time to be a nice person to me and the kids and to give us time. But I had to give him more time and stick with him until he reached those financial goals. And when he got there, then it was all going to be rosy and it was all going to pay off and it was all going to be wonderful. But I had to be patient because he had to do that first.
And did you agree at that point in time to stick it out with him and stay in California based on the things that he had promised to you?
Yes.
Did showing you what is marked for identification, Your Honor, we have something that is marked X that says marriage encounter Broderick, room number 10, in another book of Betty Broderick, marriage encounter room number 10.
So marked. X, one's X and one's Y?
Yes, Your Honor, the one marked Betty Broderick is Y.
Thank you.
I'd just like you, I'm not going to ask you specifically about them, but can you just look through the first book that you're looking through is X?
Yes.
Okay. And is that Dan Broderick's marriage encounter?
Yes, this is his handwriting.
Okay. And, okay. And if you could look at what has been marked as defendant's Y for identification?
Yes, this is all my handwriting from that weekend.
So that would have been your marriage encounter book?
Correct.
Now after did he make at that time any promises, inducements as to how he would be with the family, his time he would spend with the family and home?
He was supposed to, in the book, you know, you're supposed to make improvements, but he just further apologized and said, you know, he'd really like to get together, you're supposed to get together 10 minutes a day after a marriage encounter to enhance the intimacy in your marriage. He said, you know, I'd really like to do it, but I'm just too busy. I have depositions and I'm busy, and I just, you know, I just don't have time for this.
Did he talk to you at all about at least goals as far as what he was going to do in the legal community and what kinds of times he had to spend with them? Clubs, associations?
Yes, as I said earlier, it wasn't just that he worked very, very hard and he was very, very smart. He did. He worked very long hours and very smart. But on top of that, we had all of these committees and courses that he taught and boards of directors that he was on, all related directly to the Bar Association and the legal community in this town that enhanced his status in the legal community. So he had to teach courses and go to meetings at night, and I was told that was necessary to get where he was going and that I just had to be patient.
Okay. And when he explained that with you, did you agree to?
Be patient.
What was your feeling about that? Did you agree, disagree?
He was right. I knew he was right. I accepted that he was right at the time, and I also accepted that I'd have to be more patient. But he promised me that if I was more patient, the things were going to change. Just wait and see. You know, when he got there, it was all, then everything was going to be fine. He was going to turn into a real nice person that had time for us.
And now, how old were you at that time?
In 76, 29.
Okay.
Was that good?
Which year? You were born in 1947, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, what year was, when was Danny born?
We already did. Danny was born in February of 76.
Okay. And
Which was before the marriage encounter.
were you working?
Objection, nobody asked to answer.
Sustained.
Did you make have any discussions or make any decisions about Dan actually leaving Daycare?
Objection, asked to answer.
Overruled, you can answer that.
I don't think we made the date decision. We discussed the track at Daycare. The track that you're on to make partner is a 5-year track. And you're going to be offered a partnership in 5 years if they liked you. They obviously liked him. They were going to offer him a partnership. He felt he had to get out before he accepted a partnership, because once you accept the partnership, it's very hard to get out. You have to then break up a partnership. This way, he'd just be leaving. So 5 years from the day, practically, that he went there, he left. That would be in 78, June of 78.
At that point in time, had your religion been important to you?
Yes, I was raised in a very nice Catholic family, and we're all pretty religious. And I kept it up with the children. I had them baptized. They did First Communion and stuff, but those were basically things I did with the children. Dan didn't want to be involved.
Did you try to get, were you able to get involved, at least in keeping communications going, in any kind of counseling or a continuation of the Catholic marriage encounter?
No, Dan didn't want to do that. They had meetings later, and you were supposed to have reunions with the group that you originally did that with, but we never participated.
Okay. When you talked about the going into private practice, did you also have any discussions or agreements about the financial risks that were involved in going into private practice?
Yes. At the time Dan decided to leave Gray Carey and go into private practice, he was forfeiting the only paycheck we had, which was a regular paycheck from Gray Carey. And at that time, our home wasn't paid for, our cars weren't paid for, our furniture wasn't paid for, and these bills were going to keep coming and keep coming, whether he worked for Gray Carey or not. We couldn't give the stuff back at this point. So he decided to leave Gray Carey, but then we had to finance our entire lifestyle on loans again until he got going. We also had to add the expense of starting a practice, his rent, his furniture, his letterheads, his secretaries. We had no savings at that time. So starting the practice and our living expenses were financed by loans once again, where we haven't ever even paid off the student loans yet.
Was there any discussions about your house?
Yes, I thought if we had to leave the house and go back to an apartment, it'd be worth it. Just you know, I knew he would make it. If anyone in the world would make it, it would be Dan Broderick. He was extremely ambitious and aggressive and everything. I knew he'd do it. It was a great idea, but we might have lost the house in it. And I said, it was okay. We'll just start again.
And now during this period of time when he first started working, did you continue to work?
When he left in '78, yes.
Now, did you indicated at some point in time you started a daycare operation at the home?
That was when Danny was about 10 months old.
And what?
So I'd been doing it for a couple of years.
And what kind of operation was that?
I'm a nursery school teacher by trade. That's what I am. That's what my degree is, early childhood education. And so if I wanted to go to work and use my profession, I would have had to leave my own little children with somebody and go teach other people's children. So that didn't make any sense to me. And we needed the money, and I loved children. So I was very, very happy, and I brought kids into the house. We had a backyard, we had a swing set, a sandbox, and toys, and I ran a little nursery school operation at my house.
Did it have a name?
I just called it Time Out, because most of the women didn't work. They just dropped the kids with me when they went to lunch and played tennis and did all the things La Jolla people do.
Okay. Now, when was Rhett born?
In February of '79.
Okay. Now, were Rhett and Danny, were they difficult pregnancies?
Objection and rule.
Rose, you can answer that.
All of my pregnancies were technically, medically, very complicated pregnancies. I have 2 uteruses. The kids never turned, ever. They were all breech births. They were all early. They were preemies. I mean, I was a very high-risk pregnancy. And because of the 3rd baby dying and the placenta previa, and because of...
That's okay. Did was there a time that, and besides those that you've gone over with, the 5, has there been other pregnancies that you've gone through where the baby did not go to full term?
Yes, I had several miscarriages between Danny and Rhett.
Okay, just so there was approximately 7 or 8 pregnancies total?
9.
9. And Rhett was born in what year?
February 14th, 1979.
Did you ever do anything in regards to the vascular problem? Did you ever have surgery on your legs?
Yes, I did, after Rhett was born.
Now, after Rhett was born, did you start getting involved in any other activities outside the home?
After Rhett was born, I don't believe I ever took the children into the house again. I did do some of the hostessing jobs, but leaving 4 children with a babysitter was ridiculous. That wasn't going to work. So by '79, '80, I think I just got involved in community things. I don't think I really
Okay. What kind of community things were those?
Well, when I first moved to San Diego, I did basic San Diego community things, KPBS auction, the San Diego Museum of Art, and Combo, which was the combined arts at that time. And then as the children were in school, like Kim and Lee would have been in school when Danny and Rhett were young, I did room mother things and minded kids on the playground and did trips at school and mother's club and carnivals and bake things and stuff like that. And that's kind of the stage we're at now.
The,
And Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and all that kind of kiddie stuff.
did you get involved in any of the children's sports?
When Danny and Rhett were of age to be involved in t-ball and soccer and stuff, yes. When Kim and Lee were younger, they didn't do those things. They didn't want to do the sports. They did other things. They had music lessons and ballet lessons and tap dance. And so when the boys, yes, sports with the boys.
And what kind of things would you do with them? I mean, would you just go to games, or?
No, I was a Boy Scout leader, and I did the stuff with the Boy Scouts, and I was the soccer coach, and I was really involved with them.
The, did you do anything that was associated with the legal field as far as volunteer work in that time also?
Yes, I made a conscious decision at one point that I wouldn't do anything that wasn't directly involved with my children, my family, my husband. I wouldn't do any more of the community things. And it wasn't until much later that I did other charity things, but a core section of life, I only did kid things, school things, and bar association things.
So what kind of bar association things were you doing?
There's a bar association auxiliary for the wives, and you do the Blackstone Ball, and you do book sales, and you do lunches and a fair at Christmas. And I gave courthouse tours in this courthouse for 5 years to school children, and it's kind of a booster club for the husbands, and you have to be a wife of a judge or a lawyer to be in it.
Now, was Dan becoming more involved he was in private practice at this time?
Yes, starting in '78.
And in some time, did the family income start to increase sometime where there was a little bit more money in the family?
Yes, in '78 we had no income from his practice at all. And in '79 I still think we were negative on tax returns, as I believe the nature of a personal injury business is...
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. Did you have any understanding why there was going to be some years where there was not very much money coming in from his business?
Yes, Dan no longer received a regular paycheck from anyone. He only got a percentage of cases after they had run the 3, 4, 5-year gamut of the whole legal system, when they were totally settled, whether in a courtroom or on a phone. Then he got a percentage of the settlement, but there was not a regular paycheck by anyone. And so in the first early years of the practice, there was no income.
But that was something that you understood and were willing to...
Absolutely, and we had the loans, and yes.
Now, did he get involved, was during this period of time, was Mr. Broderick getting involved in enhancing his status in the legal community by doing, instead of coming home at night, doing things in the evening and on weekends?
Very much so, yes. He could no longer rely on just being a member of the most prestigious firm in town. He had to make a name for himself as an individual.
And so what kinds of things was he doing?
He was teaching courses on Saturday and joining things, I don't know the names of them, with judges and stuff. And he was on the board of directors of the Bar Association for about 5 years. And there's all these other names of things he did.
Okay.
Inns of court, I don't know what that is. And moot courts and teaching people and videotaping things. And
Okay. And those were things that kept him away from the home?
yes, and he established himself as an expert in the medical legal field, and he gave speeches, and he wrote a column for Dicta, and he went out in the world and marketed himself as an expert in the medical legal field.
Okay. And was this, I take it this was something that you understood that Dan told you he was going to have to do if you would stick it out?
Objection, Your Honor, leaving.
Right,
Sustained.
right.
did Dan, had those things been discussed, that Dan was going to be doing those things?
Yes.
Now, as your children became older, did you get involved in other public service type work?
Objection asked and answered.
No, I haven't answered
Vegas,
that.
the time sustained.
The what is the when is the first time that you can remember the year, if you can give it to us, where you felt that your family did not have any major financial problems, where there would actually be some spending, discretionary spending money?
I never had any idea of what was in bank accounts or how much we owed or anything. So this is just my impression. My impression was that in 1981, Dan was purchasing and buying stuff, and so we had some money, not a lot of money, in 81, and that's the first year I felt we had any money at all.
Okay. Now, when we get to 1980, 1981, as your children are getting older, did you get involved in activities now that weren't just related to the Bar Association or the kids' school?
Right, that's when I really started doing real charity work with retarded citizens and abused children and other fundraising for charity work. The girls were in high school, they didn't need me as much to get involved at school, and they didn't even want me around. So I had time when the girls were in high school then.
Photographs are
One Z and the other one double A.
I want to show you a picture that's Z for identification. Do you recognize that picture?
Yes,
Okay. And do you recognize where that was taken?
that's in the kitchen at Coral Reef.
Okay. And was this about the time when you first moved into Coral Reef?
No, it's later because we have curtains.
Okay.
We didn't have curtains for a couple of years.
Okay, so it was sometime, it would have been after a couple of years of living there?
Yes,
Okay. And showing you what's been marked as AA for identification, do you recognize that?
yes,
And was that an organization you were involved with?
yes, I forgot that one.
Okay. And what organization was that? Do you remember?
That was the Children's Home Society, found homes for orphan children.
The, do you, was there a time that, had there been a time that since your first married that you and Dan had talked or dreamed about taking a vacation somewhere?
When we were very first married, we wanted to go to Europe. And then because of me getting pregnant right away and losing my job and stuff, we never got there. So one of our mutual goals as a couple was to go to Europe as soon as we possibly could.
And when was the first time that you and Dan were able to take the vacation that you had talked about?
I'm not sure if it was 81 or 82, but we traded homes with a family in Belgium to save money. They would come to our home and we'd go to their home. And we got your rail passes, and Kim came with us. And so we got to Europe for the first time.
Now, the during this time, did there become any discussions about moving to a different house from Coral Reef?
Yes.
And what were those discussions?
As Dan was making more and more money, he wanted to move to a more substantial home.
Okay. Is that something that you wanted to do at the time?
Yes, meaning not necessarily larger. Coral Reef was very large. It was just in a tract, on a tract street where our neighbors on either side were very similar and stuff. And he just wanted a home in a neighborhood with more custom homes or character houses.
Okay. And now, was there some time that later that you were able to then take a trip with just you and Dan to Europe?
Yes?
Okay, and when was that?
That wasn't until 1984. Unless, do you mean the one we went with the Millikens?
Yes.
That was 1983. An attorney in town.
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh.
It's been answered.
And I would like Mark for identification, Your Honor, some more photographs.
All right. One of them double B, the other double C.
Now, at this point in time, were you also, you and Dan, doing more things socially?
The progression from 1981 to 1983 was extremely rapid insofar as money. From 1981 to 1983, by 1983 we had a lot of money.
Okay. Now, showing you what has been marked BB for identification, do you recognize that photograph?
We're on a bus going to Disneyland with the Boy Scout troop, or the Indian Guides or something. It was one of Danny's groups.
Okay. Do you recognize this CC for identification?
That's us going to a Blackstone ball, but it's pretty early on.
Okay. Did Dan is wearing a top hat and a cape. Is that something that he wore a lot out?
Yes, Dan was very, very proud of his silk top hat and cape, and red silk-lined cape.
The now, when you went to Europe the second time, did you stay in different kind of places than the first time you went?
Yes, as I said, the progression from 81 to 83 was absolutely phenomenal. By the time we went in 1983, we stayed in the most expensive hotels in the world, and Dan was calling himself the Count de Monet for the Count the Money.
Okay. And were you bringing other people there to Europe and their way?
Yes, as a gift to his friend Jim Milliken and his wife Jeannie, we brought them to Europe for 3 weeks, all expenses paid, as far as I know, by Dan.
Mr. Early, I think this would be a good time to take a noon recess.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our noon recess at this time. Please remember the admonition. I'll do my best to start promptly at 1:30. Have a nice lunch. Go ahead, Mr. Early.
Thank you. Now, Mrs. Broderick, the time that you indicated that Mr. Broderick was working for Greg Harry and you were going to the marriage encounter, did you know Patty Monahan?
Yes.
Okay.
She's the first person I met at that firm.
And were the problems that were going on, was that discussed with her?
Yes.
And did she talk to you about what she called the Greg Harry sickness?
Yes.
Did you write about that in your marriage encounter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did now I believe we were at the point where you had taken a vacation with Judge Milliken and his wife.
Correct.
Did after now in excuse me if I may back out, in 1980 and 81, did you do anything about a real estate license?
Yes, I went to a school that lasted 2 days. It was a accelerated real estate school. And it was a weekend school, and then you took the exam, and I passed it.
Okay, and have you ever worked as a real estate agent?
No.
Have you ever showed a house to anybody? I mean, shown a house to sell it.
Not in a professional capacity, no.
Okay. Have you ever completed a sale for a stranger?
No, I got that license to save us money on the house that Dan wanted to buy next.
There was, did you at some point in time ever get involved with interior decorating?
I got what's called a resale license. I never went to decorator school, and I couldn't decorate anyone's house. I have a resale license. You go to an office building downtown, and you apply for one, and you get one.
So when they
It has
said,
nothing to do with being a decorator.
so that was not a decorator's license, it's just a resale card.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you remember Dan at some point in time buying a big fancy Dusseldorf or some kind of car?
Yes, I didn't know about it until after he bought it. It was in an airport, I believe in Denver. And that's the way they marketed these cars, was just put one in an airport with ropes around it, and it has pipes and running boards, and it's a copy of a 1930 Mercedes made out of fiberglass, but the engine is a Ford Pinto.
Do you remember when he bought that?
No, I don't.
There was some testimony about that Kim related about a time that Dan went out for pizza one night. Remember that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during a period of time in 1975 through 1978, did Dan's activities involve his social activities? Was he having any problems with anything related to those?
Yes, along with all the meetings and professional sort of things he was supposed to participate in, there was a lot of drinking afterward or during or something, so that he quite often would come home inebriated from these things.
Okay. And was there ever a time where you had to pick him up at a sheriff's station?
At the county jail here, yes.
And was there a time where Dan took Kim, Danny, and Lee out somewhere where you were upset when he got home?
Yes, it was a Friday night. I'd just come home from the hospital with a ret. I still had the metal clamps in my stomach from the C-section, and I wasn't supposed to get out of bed because I had phlebitis, and he left me and the brand new baby and took the kids to have pizza on Friday night, which sounds pretty innocuous, except that he was gone past midnight. It was a torrential rainfall, and he was with Dave Monahan, his notorious Friday night drinking buddy, and I was absolutely furious that he kept... Danny was not even 3 years old at the time, and he had Danny with him in a rainstorm past midnight, and I knew that he was drinking, because that's, what else would he be doing? You know, it doesn't take that long to have pizza.
And when he came home, was it obvious to you that he was drinking?
Oh, sure. But he really scared me more than anything, because I was afraid that he'd kill my children.
Now, during the trip in 1983 in Europe, did you start notice any change in Dan's demeanor or his attitude?
Yes, Dan was always a very self-driven person, and he worked very, very, very hard all the time. And so on vacations and things, he would play hard, and we'd have a lot of fun, or try to have a lot of fun, because I'd be away from the children and he'd be away from all the legal stuff that was so pressure. So we always tried to have a lot of fun. And on that trip, he was a little withdrawn, which I just attributed to, now that he's making that much money, he's got bigger and bigger cases, and I thought he was under a lot of stress from work. This is what I thought was wrong.
Now, after that, did you go anywhere that summer?
I took the children on a camping trip in the Suburban.
And is that the kind of car that you drove, the Suburban?
That year I got the Suburban, yes.
Okay. And did you drive a Suburban from that time, basically up until the time of your arrest?
Yes, from 1983 I got the Suburban.
Okay.
think.
And was that always the same Suburban? At some point in time, did you change and get a new one?
I changed and got a new one exactly the same as the old one.
Okay. And was there a purpose that you had a Suburban?
Because it served all the purposes. I used to take kids dirt biking. I could get 5 bikes in the back and surfboards and tennis rackets, and we always had a lot of extra children with us for water skiing, and I just used every single inch of it, and the license plate said load them up, and we loaded it up a lot.
Okay. And at that time, do you remember what kind of car Dan was driving?
Dan had an MG first, and then he had a Gazelle second, and then in '83 he acquired a red Corvette.
Okay. Now,
And he's still at the previous 2 also. He had all 3 cars at once.
did you have, now on the camping trip, how long did it last?
I think about 5 weeks.
Okay. Did Dan go with you?
He flew in to meet us twice. He met us on a weekend in Keystone, Colorado, where we own part of a condo with his brother. And we rode horses and stuff, but it was just a weekend. And then he flew into Montana, Flathead Lake, Montana, where we were for a week at a dude ranch, and he was to stay the week up there.
Was there problems at that place?
At the weekend in Keystone, he was really, really tired because it was just too short. He flew in, we tried to have fun, he was tired and he left, so it wasn't very much fun. And then when he got up to Montana, he was a real jerk. And I was like, gosh, you know, I've been on the road all this time with these kids. I was really looking forward to seeing you, you know, and having someone to talk to and someone to have dinner with and someone to sleep with and stuff. And he acted like a total jerk when he got there, and I didn't know why. And I got mad at him. I said, you know, if you're going to be here, be here. Otherwise, just go back home. And I was doing fine with the kids before. I'll just do it alone again.
Okay. Now, through the years, through the various years after the marriage encounter up until the time of Dan's death in 1989, did you refer often to that marriage encounter book?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a reason for that?
Well, I call it kind of reality checks or sanity checks. I had certain tangible anchors in life that I could refer to assure myself that I was not crazy, which is what Dan kept calling me crazy. That was something that I looked back to assure myself I did not imagine anything.
Your Honor, I have a number of copies of the marriage encounter I'd like to have the jury read at this time.
Your Honor, I object to this one. We have an objection.
Read the entire marriage encounter book?
Yeah, her entire marriage encounter book, or I can have her read it. It's the same as giving a tape transcript to the jury.
Your Honor, we have an objection.
Well, let me see both defense for that first. Go ahead.
After you returned from the trip, had Dan's demeanor changed?
Yes, drastically.
And how did it change?
I wasn't even home an hour and I knew something was wrong. He didn't greet us at the door. He wasn't happy to see us. He was just acting very strange. And that was late at night when I came home with the children, and we had to go to a wedding the very next day in Laguna Beach. So we got all dressed up and drove to Laguna Beach, and it was during that ride up there that I heard what was wrong.
And what did he tell you was wrong?
Is that he was very, very unhappy with everything. He was unhappy with our house, he was unhappy with our lifestyle, he was unhappy with me, he was unhappy with the children. He was just not a happy person, and that's what he told me. He wasn't happy.
Did he say anything about you in particular? Describe you.
He thought our house was tacky. He thought our friends were boring. He said I was old, fat, ugly, boring, and stupid. And he had never said anything like that before.
Okay. At that time, were you fat?
I didn't think so.
Okay. And at that, how did you feel about yourself at that time?
Before he started saying those things, I thought I was a competent person doing the right thing in life. I was proud of my husband, my house, my family. I was very high energy. I've always been very high energy. Had lots of friends, lots of activities. I was a great cook. I was a hostess. I was pretty satisfied with how I was doing in life.
Okay. During that period of time, were there any changes in Dan's office in terms of staff? We're in 1983.
In July of '83, Dan was a one-man band. He had, ever since '78 to '83, he had no employees of any description. He had a secretary that was not an employee of his. She was an independent woman that did all of his typing on a per-hour basis. She was not technically employed by his law corporation. It was only Dan Broderick. And in the summer of '83, that's the way it was.
Was there a change for that in the fall of '83?
In September of '83, he came home and he said that he had hired someone, and I was very, very happy about that. I thought, whew, a release valve where he'll have more time for us and someone to help him, because he had been so grouchy and under so much pressure. And I thought it was from too much of a workload. And so he told me that he hired someone.
And did he tell you who he hired?
Yes. He told me he hired Linda Kolkena, who had formerly been the girl in the lobby of the building who answered the phones.
Okay. And did you talk to him about Linda?
Yes, as soon as I was delighted that he hired someone, it seemed like the next moment he said who it was. I said, "Oh my gosh, what did you hire her for? She can't do anything to help you. I mean, she's not a paralegal, she's not a lawyer, she's not even a secretary. She couldn't type." I said, "What did you hire her for? I mean, you need a lot of help," but I didn't see that she was the person that was going to help.
Okay. And did he continue with his attitude around the house, how he felt about it?
Oh, yes.
How about
he wanted changes, major changes.
And what do you mean he wanted major changes?
He wanted a new house. He wanted a mansion, and he wanted us to live a much more glamorous lifestyle, and he was a real grouch around me and the kids all the time. Of course, that was from my perspective, because he had me walking on eggshells trying to please him. And I was real tense, and the children noticed it right away, but they never knew why. It's because in my trying to please Dan Broderick and make things perfect for him, I became very tense and short-tempered with the children, but they never knew why.
Did you at any point in time give him at least some ultimatum in regards to, did you ask him about whether there was a relationship between him and Linda Kolkena?
I had first heard Linda Kolkena's name raised at a party in December.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Okay. First of all, were you suspicious that there was a relationship between him and Linda Kolkena?
Absolutely, I knew there was.
And why was that?
Because I overheard Dan in December of the previous year say at a party, "Isn't she beautiful?" And I asked him later who he was talking about, and he told me he was talking about Linda Kolkena, this person who answered the phones. And then after that, I was kind of attuned to what was going on, and he was seen out to lunch and out to drinks and different places at downtown with Linda Kolkena. And then when he told me that he hired her, it just absolutely verified what I was suspicious of all along. And I
What-
was really mad.
And did you give him some ultimatum in October about Linda Kolkena?
Yeah, I said, it's bad enough that you're having an affair with this person, but now you're going to pay her to be in the same room with you for 12, 14 hours a day while I'm home with the kids and I never see you. And I was just really mad. And I said, get rid of that girl by October 1st. I gave him a month because I was being nice, stupidly. And I said, get rid of that girl by October 1st or get out of my house.
And what was his response about him having a relationship with Linda Kolkena?
That I was crazy, there was nothing going on, there had never been anything going on, that I was delusional, that I was imagining things, and furthermore, if there was anything going on that I didn't like, I could get out of the house because that was his house.
Okay. Did he continue to talk to you about the problems he perceived that were being caused by you, either the way you physically looked or how you were keeping home?
He was just a very unhappy person. We had talks about him being unhappy, and I'd say to him, I don't know what you're talking about, happy. We have 4 healthy kids, we have a beautiful home, you're doing really, really well in your business, we're healthy. I mean, what else is there in life? I just don't understand why you're all of a sudden so unhappy.
Did you believe him when he told you at the time when you would talk to him about not having an affair with Linda Kolkena?
Yes. I always believed everything he told me, and before this point in our long-term marriage, by this point, I've never doubted what he told me before. If he told me he was at meetings, he was at meetings. If he told me he was out of town at depositions, that's where he was. But all of a sudden, every time he started telling me that he was working late and he was going out of town and he was doing this and that, I was suspicious that he was with Linda Kolkena and that he was lying.
Yeah. How did that make you feel when he would tell you? I mean, how were you feeling about the fact that you had these suspicions, but you wanted to believe him?
Well, it made me feel like a jerk, like I was stupid or something, but there really are no words to describe what you feel when you find out your husband's having an affair.
Okay. Did you try to do something about the things Dan said that were wrong with you?
Sure. I tried to, I wouldn't say I tried to look like Linda Kolkena. I didn't do that. I just tried to not be old, fat, ugly, boring, and stupid. So I couldn't do anything about old. And I lost weight, and I went down to a sickly thin. And I didn't think I was boring, but I quit all my society things and tried to stay home and give him more attention. And I just tried to really cater to him. I tried to become perfect for him so he'd have nothing to complain about at all. Of course, he hadn't really complained about anything before that either.
Yeah. Had you ever felt this way about yourself before this?
Not at all.
Did you start feeling different about yourself after Dan told you these things?
Objection,
Yes.
answer.
Yes, you stand.
Yeah. Did you do anything medically about making yourself look younger?
Dan sent me to some client that he had to get wrinkles off my face. And I got braces on my teeth because I have a little tiny crooked tooth here. I let my hair grow longer like it used to be in college. It was real long hair, and with the kids I let it get a little shorter, so I let my hair grow longer, and I just tried to look as much as I could like I used to look when I was 19.
Okay. Did the subject of more babies ever come up?
Yes. I had had my tubes tied with the birth of Rhett in 1979 because I had to do that if I wanted to get my leg operated on. After you have the vascular surgery in your leg, you're not really supposed to get pregnant ever again. But I had my tubes tied, and so I thought if it would make Dan feel younger that he had young children or had babies, that I would get that operation reversed and have more children. Because I was asking, like what does she have that we don't have together? I mean, why would you be interested in Linda Kolkena? I don't understand.
Did you see any doctors about your physical condition, having children?
About getting the tube tied reversed,
Yeah.
yes.
And-
Dr. Villanueva is a specialist in fertility.
And did both you and Dan go to see him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during this period of time that was going on, Were you still asking Dan about Linda?
Yes.
And what was he telling you?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Well, did you, did you ever feel that you were imagining things because of what Dan told you? I mean, were there times where you felt that you were crazy or imagining things?
There were times when I doubted. I had feelings and impressions of what I thought was true, and he was telling me that that was not true, and so I felt imbalanced because what I felt and saw and suspected and all the clues were pointing one way, and he's telling me, you know, black is white and white is black, and I'm feeling a little off balance that I've never felt like that before.
Did you do anything? Did you go anywhere at that time? Well, first of all, did you do anything to yourself physically at any period of time in 1983?
Well, the October 1st deadline came and went, and he wouldn't get rid of Linda Kolkena, and he was still denying that there was anything going on, and still telling me I was absolutely insane and crazy, and how unhappy he was, and how awful I was and stuff, and he was inadvertently becoming quite cruel. You know, he didn't throw things and everything, but he just wasn't coming home, and he was sneaking out at night, and he was being really weird, and I wasn't liking it, and I was very hurt by it. And then it came kind of to a head on my birthday that he didn't come home or anything, and he was just being a shit. And I covered up like I always did, and the kids and I had dinner and a party, and I put the kids to bed, and then I slit my wrists.
Did Dan come home that evening?
I guess so. Real late. I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Well, at some point in time, did Dan come home?
The next morning
Okay.
is when I saw Dan.
And what did he do at that time?
He was trying to wake me up.
Okay.
He was waking me up.
Did you talk about how you were feeling?
I wasn't in our bedroom. I was in a different bedroom of the house. So if he came home and went in our bedroom, that I don't know if he knew what happened to me until the next morning when he came looking for me.
Okay. When he found you and you were, what did you talk about?
But he was just making me feel bad. He was just being a creep. And he said, you know, that he was sorry, there was nothing going on with Linda, and I should go get some help, that I'm having a mental breakdown, and that I need help, because I'm imagining all these things.
Did you go to a counselor?
I went the next day, yes. For the first time in my life, I was all shaky and everything, and I really needed help. I went the next day.
Did Dan go with you?
No.
Did you at some point in time go down to Dan's office at about this time?
Well, after I got over the hump with the slit wrist and the counselor and everything, things seemed to level out for a little bit.
Not responsible.
Sustained.
Okay. If you could, did you go to Dan's office sometime that fall?
Yes,
And why did you go to Dan's office?
because November 22nd is his birthday.
Okay. And was there a purpose other than his birthday that you were going down there?
Yes, I confided my what I perceived as my problem in life in my friend Vicki Curry, and her suggestion was that I start becoming a presence. Those were her words, at Dan's office, because prior to this point in our lives, he was so busy. He never took lunches, he never did anything, and I had the kids, and I never interfered in his office, and I didn't call every day. I just did not interfere. He was very busy, and he told me that. So she told me to get dressed up and go down there and just say, oh, hi, everybody, it's me, Betty, I'm alive, and I'm around, and just kind of show my face to people. So on his birthday, I did that. I got all dressed up. Vicki minded my kids, and I got all dressed up, and I brought champagne and a present for Dan to the office.
Okay, what did you find when you got there?
I found that his office was pretty well trashed by a party. There were balloons and streamers and a chocolate cake and cards and wrapping, and Dan is real meticulous. it was really unusual that his office would look like that. He never allows anything like that. And then I kind of waited for him, and I went out in the lobby, and I asked the girl who was at the party, because it looked like a big party to me, and she said, nobody, just them, meaning Dan and Linda. And then while I was waiting for him, I looked in the secretary cubicle in the middle of the building, and I found the refrigerator and the wine and my wedding crystal in there. And I thought that was kind of odd that he had a bar now at work. And then I went in the office that said Linda Kolkena in brass letters on the door. Now, Dan's office is in the most expensive building in town with the corner view, and her office was next to his with the view. And she had her name in brass letters, and it was this gorgeous view office with all this pretty stuff, and Dan's picture was on the wall. And it was a picture taken in 1967, before we were even married. And I was like, God, what's his picture doing on the wall in here? That's really tacky. And I just waited around for them to come back.
How did you feel at that time?
I felt that my suspicions were true and that they were not at lunch. This was too late for them to be at lunch.
Were you happy? Were you crying? I mean, what was your demeanor?
Shaking and totally upset, and I called Vicki. I sat at Dan's desk and I used his office phone and I called Vicki. And I said it was even worse than I thought because he wasn't there and everything.
Did you describe what you saw to Vicki?
I think so.
Okay. And when you left Dan's office, did you leave Dan's office without him returning?
Yes, I waited, they never came back.
And where did you go?
I didn't know, when I spoke to Vicki on the phone, I was so upset. She said, well, Betty, what are you going to do? And I said, heck, I don't know. What do you do? I don't know. What do you do? So I sat there for a while and thought, what should I do? And I just went home and decided I knew what I would do. I'd throw him out. So I went up to his bedroom and took all his clothes and threw him out in the backyard.
Okay. And after you threw the clothes in the backyard, did you do something with them?
I didn't throw his favorite clothes in the backyard because he'd really kill me.
Did you do something with the clothes that were in the backyard?
Yes, I put the lawnmower gasoline on him and I burnt him.
Did you burn all of his clothes?
Not his favorite ones.
Okay. What was he like when he came home? Did he come home?
Eventually.
What was he like?
He was coming home. He had no idea of what had happened. He had no idea I was at the office because he never went back. And our previous plan before I went to the office was he wanted a roast beef and a chocolate cake, and he was coming home to a family birthday party with roast beef. He thought roast beef and chocolate cake, which was ready, but he didn't get it.
Okay. What was he like, though? I mean,
drunk.
Okay.
And happy, very happy.
Was there an argument or a fight?
I met the front of the house was locked. He came around the back of the house, and I met him at the door, and I tried to be strong and say, you know, you're not coming in this house. That's it, you know. I was down at the office. I know what's going on. You're not coming in this house. And I gave him his checkbook because in one of our fights about Linda Kolkena, he said, I don't care about you and I don't care about this house anyway. If I leave, all I need is my Corvette and my checkbook anyway. You know, like he didn't care about the kids or anything. So he had his Corvette and I handed him his checkbook and said, you are out of here.
And what did he do?
He said, oh, there's nothing going on. We went to lunch on my birthday, and then I went to a deposition, and she must have gone shopping or something, that you're just imagining things. There's absolutely nothing going on.
Did you believe him?
Yeah.
And how did you feel at that time?
And he wasn't mad about the clothes.
How did you feel at the time?
I felt like I probably made a mistake, and that maybe he did go to lunch and go out to a deposition.
Did you, at that point in time, did you do anything in regards to the clothes you had burned?
I cleaned them up and bought them all new ones.
Okay. Now, in 1983, the end of 83 and the end of 84, was there things that you were planning as a family at that point in time?
Well, are we in the fall?
We're in the fall of 83 and winter of 84. Were you doing anything in regards to houses, where you were going to be living, anything such as that?
No, if it was November '83, we would have been having our annual Christmas party coming up, and Dan canceled that. He didn't want to do any more entertaining in Coral Reef. He said he was in...
Objection, Your Honor, no, that's all.
Sustained.
Was there any changes was Dan starting any changes in what you were doing as a family in end of 1983, beginning of 1984?
Well, he curtailed our entertaining totally. And we were looking for houses.
Okay. And how about in the spring of '83 or '84? Was Dan happy, unhappy?
After we had the November kind of blow up, you know, the October deadline passed, November was a blow up, then we had kind of this unspoken truce where he told me, you know, don't mention Linda again. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing going on. Yes, she works for me. Yes, we go out to lunch, and yes, we go to these meetings and stuff after, but it's all business. There's nothing going on. So I more or less dropped it because he told me to for a while. And he was coming home every night. He didn't stay out overnight or anything. And we were looking for new houses like he wanted to do, and I thought he was getting over it, or that it never happened or something.
Okay, and...
He wasn't saying we were getting a divorce.
And in 1984, was your house at Coral Reef put up for sale so that you could move to a bigger house?
Well, I kept finding big houses that he wanted me to find, and then he wouldn't like them, so
Objection, Your Honor, no, it's
Sustained.
Okay. Did you find, was your house up for sale?
not really.
Okay. Was there any time, okay, were you looking for homes at that time?
I was looking for homes full-time. A lot of real estate agents knew that I was looking for homes. And because they knew I was looking to move, they assumed that the house that I was in would be for sale when I found another home. So a real estate woman called me and said that she...
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Can I ask you a question? What's your other question?
Did anything happen in regards to somebody making offers on your home in 1984?
She brought one client one day that wanted our home really badly, and we said we'd ask $325 for it, and they offered us $325 that day.
Did you sell the home?
No, Dan wouldn't agree to it.
And sometime in 1984, did there come a time where you moved out of the family home?
Yes, when we sold the house for $325, we were selling it as a damaged house with a cracked slab, with full disclosure to those people who were buying it. And so Dan thought he didn't want to sell it like that. He wanted us to repair the cracked slab and fix it all up and sell it as a undamaged house, so that he said somebody would sue us if we sold it with a crack.
Okay.
So we ended up moving out. This is all an insurance deal. We moved out of Coral Reef. Insurance took over. They ended up demolishing Coral Reef and doing grouting with machines, and they messed up the whole house. And the insurance people paid for us to live in a rental for 9 months out of the year while they destroyed and rebuilt Coral Reef to fix that cracked slab.
Okay. And so in 1984, in September of 1984, where did you move?
To La Jolla Shores on Avenida de las Ondas.
And did you arrange for the lease to cover a certain period of time?
It was a school year lease versus a year-long lease, because the people who owned the house only came to La Jolla in the summer. And so it was available for the school year.
Okay. And in
September to June.
And did you move into the house in September of 1984?
Yes, we did.
And did you all move into the home?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And that rent was paid by the insurance company?
Yes.
Okay. Now, sometime in 1985, did Dan move out of the rental house?
February of '85, yes.
Okay. Remember the date of February 28th, 1985?
Yes.
Okay. And did he tell you why he was moving out?
No, he just came home from work, and I was laying on the bed watching the news. It was kind of 6:30 or something, and he just said, "I'm leaving." And I said, "Oh, where are you going?" I didn't realize it was, I'm leaving.
Okay. Did eventually he tell you that he is leaving permanently or just moving out of the house for some period of
He
time?
said he was, then I caught on that he was leaving, and he started taking his sweaters out of the armoire and packing the red Corvette with his clothes.
Okay. At that time, did he move out right then?
Well, he packed the red Corvette, and then he came back in the house, and he said, "Do you want me to leave now or in the morning?" And I said, "Oh, no. I'm married to a lawyer long enough to know not to answer that question. You leave whenever you want to leave." And so he stayed the night.
Did he leave that morning?
Yes, he left the next morning.
Did you know where he moved to at that time?
No.
When was the next time you eventually became aware to where he moved, did you not?
I thought he moved to a hotel or an apartment or something because Coral Reef was such a mess from all this construction. It really wasn't inhabitable.
Did you sometime though later learn that he had moved to Coral Reef?
Yes.
Okay. And when was the next time that you saw Dan after he moved out?
I saw him on St. Patrick's Day of that year, 1984.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 85.
When did he come to the house? Was it daytime, nighttime, if you can remember?
Daytime and nighttime. He came in the daytime with his brothers that were in town for the holiday, and I remember them being there in the daytime. And then he came back at night.
Okay. Now, is that the first time anyone in the family had seen him since March 28th?
February 28th, yes.
February 28th.
Yeah. He hadn't come back at all.
And do you remember, did he come there just to say hi, or did he stay there for a while?
When he came in the daytime, I think he came to get a car or something. I don't really remember why they came. They were in the driveway, and I just tried to be polite and say hi to his brothers and kind of walked by and stuff. When he came back at night, he was very, very drunk, and he stayed there with me.
When was the next time that you saw Dan after that?
After that was after our wedding anniversary, which is April 12th, which was probably more like April 15th is when I saw him. I told him I needed to talk to him.
And did you discuss when you saw him then, did you discuss some things with him?
Yes, we left the house and we went down to a restaurant on the beach right near my house, and I wanted to have a business meeting with him. I wanted to ask him what his intentions were, what's going on here. I mean, where am I going to live? How much money are you going to give me for rent and food? And are you going to pay for the car? And are you going to pay the charge accounts? And my checking account was overdrawn when he walked out. And I tried to have a business meeting with him and say, okay, Dan, you need your space and you're unhappy and all this, but, what's happening here? What's the plan tell me what's happening here? And he wouldn't.
Had Dan said something about needing a space?
Oh, absolutely. He was unhappy. He needed his space.
Did he say that he was moving out to get divorced?
No, he never mentioned the word divorce. He never even mentioned separation.
Okay. And did you talk to him about did he say anything about your marriage or what was going to happen?
No. When I asked him about Linda, as I did again on April 15th, I asked him, what did he do for our anniversary? And he said he went out with someone else. He kept denying that he was even dating Linda. He never even admitted he went on a date with Linda.
Okay. But did he talk to you at all about the marriage? When you were asking what was going on, did he tell you that this is it, or?
No, he didn't know. We were not getting a divorce, and there was nothing going on with Linda. He was just taking a vacation. He needed his space. And it was just a couple of months after his 40th birthday, and I figured he was taking a vacation. Or
Did you
whatever.
believe him?
Yeah.
How did you feel at that time?
Well, I was pretty scared about the uncertainty of being left with the children in a rented house, in a leased car. The Suburban was a lease. We didn't buy it. And I felt extremely scared and uncertain. But I had to cover it up for the sake of the kids. I had to pretend like nothing's wrong, everything's fine, everything's going to be fine. The kids didn't even know about Linda or anything like that. And so I covered it up pretty good, and I took them to Warner Springs Ranch for our Easter vacation like we did every year. And I managed pretty good up there, and they rode their horses and they swam and they did all their fun stuff. But when we got back from Warner's, is when the rat problem that we had anyway was just, we'd been gone for a week, and while we were gone, there were more rats in that house than there was oxygen.
Okay, was there something going on around there that was causing a rat problem?
Right behind this house on the hill, they were building new houses, and they disturbed all the vegetation. And not only rats came down, but when it rained, mud came into the houses, and it was because of the construction right adjacent to this property. It wasn't that every house in La Jolla has rats running all over it. This was a very special situation.
Okay. Did, had you, from the time that you were born up until this time, up until, let's say, 1984, December of 1984, had you ever lived by yourself?
No, I lived with my parents until literally the night before I married Dan, and I've never paid rent or utilities or phone bills no, I've never lived on my own. I never even went away to college and lived in a dormitory. I stayed home.
Okay. And up until February of 1984, then you would either lived at home with your parents or you would live with Dan?
Right.
Okay. Were you, who was, after Dan left and you were living in the rental, did you have any idea whether you had money or not in any of your accounts?
Oh, in my account, I didn't have any money. I knew that. But
Okay.
I didn't know about any other accounts. I didn't know about any investments. I had no idea of our income. I never knew any of that stuff.
Okay. And did you know whether anything about, how were you living during that period of time?
Dan was just, the insurance paid the rent on that house, on the rental house, until June. I knew that was okay. But as far as anything else, I didn't know. I mean, Dan was just, I guess, paying them.
Were you using credit cards to live?
Yes.
Now, you indicated that there were rats in the house. How was that affecting you?
This was no ordinary little rat problem. They ate back out of the refrigerator and were in the refrigerator. They ate through the ceiling. They ate through a sofa. They shredded the clothes in the closets. I mean, these were all over the floors, on the beds, in the closets, everywhere. It was absolutely terrifying, and it was in daylight. When it got dark, it got worse, but in daylight they were out there.
Okay.
And I called Dan one afternoon around 3:30. It would have just been starting to get dark.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. At some point in time, did you call Dan about the problems?
Yes, I'd called exterminators. The rats had been a little problem before we left for Warner's, and exterminators were already involved. And they were patching up things, and they were setting traps, and
Sustained.
Okay. Did you, first, did you talk to Dan about the rats?
Dan knew about the rats. When he left, there were rats in the house, but when this problem got really bad, I called him and said, Dan, you've got to get over here and help. It's not even dark, and every trap's got a rat in it. I mean, they're already all sprung all over the place. And he said, congratulations, and hung up the phone.
Okay. Now, how were the kids doing at that time?
I was trying to protect them, but through some of this rat business, they ended up protecting me. There was a rat half dead and half alive in the laundry room, and I wouldn't do laundry with that rat flopping around the floor. So Lily got a shovel and threw it in a bucket of water, and she drowned it so I could do the laundry.
Well, but how were they doing in general? I mean,
I was trying to protect them, which was probably my mistake because
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
how were they doing in general? In other words,
Great.
were they happy, great kids? Was there any anxiety because the father's gone? What were they?
they were doing fine in school, and I was pretending everything was cool and there was nothing wrong, and Daddy was just away for a little while, and everything was okay. So basically their lives were all right. But my behavior, I was so tense and so short-tempered with them.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
At some point in time, did their behavior change where they were arguing or fighting?
Probably their behavior didn't change. What changed was my tolerance level. I was a nervous wreck. The rats are running all over the place, and when they started fighting, I went crazy. I got really mad. it was like I didn't want this too. I had all these other things to worry about, and I hated it when they fought. And I'd tell them to stop, and they wouldn't stop. And so I got mad at Kim for fighting. I got furious at her. And I took her over to Dan's house to say, okay, Dan, you're going to help. If you're not going to help with the rats, you're going to help with the kids, because somebody's going to help me here.